The 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Everyone goes through this cycle when grieving. Grief can be activated by many different types of situations, but the cycling through those things doesn't happen in order, and it can happen more than once. It's extremely personal based on the person who's grieving and the attachment to the loss. Denial being like inability to believe it, shock, numbness, avoidance, unwilling to talk about it, trying to continue on as if everything is normal. Anger comes out, sometimes lashing out at other people when you don't want to, or frustration with your circumstance or your life, or like inability to continue to do it anymore, and like feeling like there was like a breakdown that happened, a breaking point. Bargaining includes telling yourself what you should have done differently to prevent the loss from happening, or what you could have avoided if you would have done this differently, or if you could have seen it sooner. Bargaining with reality to make it feel less painful. Depression follows. Numbness, lack of emotional sensation, lack of motivation, loss of interest, wanting to be alone, desire to isolate, feelings of loneliness. Acceptance is the last phase, and that can be defined in many different ways, but it can be broken down through 4 different steps, the 4 tasks of grief. The first one is accepting the reality of the loss, acknowledging that something has changed, that something is different, that someone is no longer present, that a loss occurred. Like the end of a relationship, end of a job, moving away, even if that was something that was wanted, a death. If it was in your control, if it was in your choice, if it was out of your control, if it was not your choice, it can all activate the grief cycle. And this includes ongoing grief, ambiguous grief, things like dealing with a sick child, dealing with a sick parent, dealing with a chronic illness, living in systems of oppression. That can all produce grief cycles that impact people's nervous system, mental health, physical health, energy levels, ability to engage with others, relationships, self-concept, and more. Working through the pain of the grief. This is where, though you can cycle through so many times, you can deny it, you can feel angry, you can feel sad, you can feel guilty, like you should have done something different, you can feel accepting, and that's because emotions are shifting and they're fluid and they're impacted by so many other parts of our health and our well-being, and they are out of our control. We can manage them and learn how to experience them, learn to differentiate them and understand what they feel like and understand what triggers them, understand what helps. But we can't change how we feel, we have to work through the pain. Experience and process the loss emotions. Sadness, anger, guilt, despair, pity, hopelessness, worthlessness. It doesn't really matter like what someone is feeling during that grief process, but the key for moving through it and getting to that point of acceptance is to express the feelings and not suppress them. Find ways to express your feelings rather than distracting from them. Find self-expression activities like dancing or listening to music or playing an instrument or playing a game or going on walks or physical activity or engaging in a club or anything that will, art, writing, will allow you to express yourself even in those unwanted emotions like sadness or anger or guilt or shame or whatever. Finding ways to express them in your environment will help you regain a sense of stability after something has changed. The third step is adjusting to a world without. Finding ways to create and adapt to a new reality in that the person or the thing is no longer there or has changed the way that it is there. So there's like a mourning that happens within that change and an acceptance that happens at the same time of the reality that has formed without your control or outside of your control or beyond your control. Finding new ways of functioning, like developing routine. If the routine was once coexisted with the system or the thing or the job or the partner or the child or the parent or the friend, and now that has been disrupted, new things will start to fill time, and over time those will establish themselves as systems within your life and new relationships, new routines, is what I meant to say. Identity recognition and changes that come along with your identity following a loss. If you associate in relation to someone or something and then that thing is no longer there needs to be like replacement beliefs that go into forming identity about what you want or who you are or what you need or what you've been through. and you get a sense of choice and agency with that. Some people are afraid to take it or don't want to take it, don't feel like they should or can, and that's guilt and shame. So you need to express those feelings of guilt and shame and allow people to meet you with trust and safety and support and attachment, security, so that you can reestablish yourself and find a new sense of normal. Explore interests. This includes self-interests and relational interests as well. Being around new people, being around different types of people, new environments, as well as trying to engage in things that make up you, who you are, who you say you are, who you want to be, what type of person you want to be, and what does that type of person do day to day. The final step to reaching like a sense of acceptance through a loss and processing through stages of grief, it never really goes away, but you find an enduring connection to the loss. So there is a point where you have to separate yourself and adjust to the world without. And then once you do that, you are able to find an enduring connection to the loss over time. When things get shifted, meaning has to change. So new meaning is allowed to take place. And this alters like what you used to believe or think or feel about things, and makes a lot of room and space, which can sometimes feel like emptiness or numbness, for new things to come in. So it's important to stay oriented to the present, taking that past as it impacts us, but not projecting it more than we have to on the future, more than we can benefit from about the future, because we can speculate all we want about things that happen and if they will happen again, but that doesn't mean they will happen again. We have to look at what's ongoing and develop an ongoing sense to things that are important to us, whether they are with us or not. Things can impact us and then no longer be present in our lives. That's like an inevitable truth that everybody has to deal with, and it comes up at different points for everybody in different situations, which is why grief is so personal. But sometimes connecting to bigger meaning or purpose and finding ways to reflect on memories and honor and carry those things, letting go of the things that don't benefit us about that, but not feeling like we have to get rid of memories or experiences or traditions or memorials or altars to remember people by. There's nothing wrong with having an ongoing, enduring connection to something that is no longer with you. It's part of who you are. And there is so much self-fulfillment that can come if we continue to stay open to relationships, even after experiences of loss, because we can continue to be comforted and supported and become attached in ways that we could not have conceptualized without experiences of loss. Possession and closeness, in combination with like loss and separateness, create meaning and weight, emotional weight to our experiences, which is why grief is so painful, because we reorganize all of that and choose into doing that because the benefits outweigh the negatives when it comes to having enduring connections with the people and the places and the things around us, even if we don't have control over when it comes to us or when it goes.